Achilles. A name that echoes through time, once spoken with reverence, now whispered with doubt. For centuries, he has stood as the embodiment of warrior greatness. But what if the truth is more complicated? What if the real Achilles was never a hero, but a man battling demons far greater than any enemy on the battlefield? Raised by the goddess Thetis, Achilles was molded for greatness. He was not nurtured, but forged. His childhood was not filled with joy, but with training, discipline, and a destiny he had no choice but to accept. From the beginning, he was told he was special, born to be remembered, born to be feared. Achilles grew up carrying the unbearable weight of expectations. He was not allowed to be a boy. He was a symbol, a future legend in flesh and blood. His mother dipped him in the river Styx to make him invulnerable, but even divine protection could not shield his soul from the fractures growing within. The world saw him as a god, but deep inside, Achilles was painfully human. As he entered the war in Troy, he dazzled the world with unmatched skill and power. His spear struck like lightning, his shield was an impenetrable wall, and his presence turned the tide of battles. But glory comes at a cost. And for Achilles, that cost was everything. When Agamemnon, the leader of the Greeks, took Briseis from him, a woman Achilles had claimed, something in him broke. It wasn't just about love. It wasn't just pride. It was identity. Stripped of what he thought made him great, Achilles turned away from the war, from his comrades, and even from his purpose. But his withdrawal was not silent. It was a storm that swept across the Greek camp. Warriors fell. Morale crumbled. Achilles did nothing. He wanted the Greeks to suffer, to understand what it meant to insult the pride of a godlike man. His absence was not a protest. It was a punishment. In his tent, Achilles fumed, torn between his desire for revenge and the whispers of doubt that haunted him at night. Yet under all his fury lived fear. A fear of being forgotten. A fear that one day the name Achilles would vanish from songs and stories. His pride masked a deeper wound, a desperate need to be remembered. In his quiet moments, away from the battlefield, Achilles questioned his own worth. Was he truly great? Or was he merely a pawn in the games of gods and kings? And then there was Patroclus, his closest companion, his truest bond. Patroclus wasn't just a friend. He was the last piece of Achilles' fading humanity. With Patroclus, Achilles could still laugh, still dream, still believe in a world beyond blood and conquest. Patroclus represented the home Achilles never had, the warmth, the loyalty, the acceptance. Their bond was sacred, a lifeline to Achilles' soul. When Patroclus died wearing Achilles' armor, it was not just a death. It was the collapse of everything Achilles had left. His heart shattered. His soul burned. The news of Patroclus' death reached Achilles like a dagger to the heart. He screamed into the heavens, tearing at his hair, cursing the gods and men alike. It was a cry of pure, unfiltered agony, the sound of a man losing the only thing that anchored him to the world. What followed was not war. It was devastation. Achilles returned to the battlefield like a force of nature. His wrath was not heroic. It was tragic. He slaughtered Hector, the greatest of Troy's champions, not with honor, but with unrelenting fury. He dragged Hector's body behind his chariot, day after day, desecrating it in a frenzy of grief and rage. The once great hero had become a harbinger of death. The death of Hector brought Achilles no peace, no satisfaction, only a deeper emptiness. The ghost of Patroclus haunted him still, and every victory tasted like ashes in his mouth. Achilles knew that he was spiraling toward his doom. but he no longer cared. In a way, he welcomed it. But fate, as always, waits for every man. Achilles, though nearly invincible, could not escape his destiny. A single arrow, guided by the hand of Apollo and loosed by Paris, pierced his heel, the one place left unguarded by his mother's desperate protection. The mighty Achilles, who had faced armies and defied kings, fell to the ground, mortal at last. And so he died, not as a god, but as a man. A man who loved deeply, hurt profoundly, and fell victim to the very passions that made him legendary. As his lifeblood seeped into the Trojan soil, Achilles' story was sealed, not as a tale of endless glory, but as a tragedy of a hero who could not outrun his humanity. Achilles' story is not just about war. It's about identity, loss, pride, and pain. A man chasing immortality, yet crushed by the very emotions he refused to face. He may be remembered as a hero, but Achilles' true legacy is one of human fragility. His greatness was real, but so were his fears, his sorrows, and his ultimate fall.